Well, jurors are back in the deliberation room in the double murder trial of Brendan Banfield. He's accused of killing his wife and another man inside his Virginia home nearly 3 years ago. Prosecutors allege he concocted the plot so he could get rid of his wife and continue the affair he was having with the family's au pair. Banfield's defense says his wife was being stabbed and Banfield was trying to save her. Banfield has pleaded not guilty. NBC News legal affairs reporter Gary Grumbach is outside the Fairfax courthouse where this trial is playing out. And NBC News legal analyst Misty Marris joins us here on set. Gary, we'll start with you out there. Break this case down for us. And how long have jurors been deliberating so far?
Clay, 7 women, 5 men have been deliberating for almost 8 hours here in Fairfax County. And for Brendan Banfield's team, it's all about whether or not they have reasonable doubt. If even one juror in that room right now has a little bit of reasonable doubt that the way that the prosecutors laid out the case occurred the way that they said it did, that could be what is holding things up here. Prosecutors, during their closing arguments and throughout the entire trial, really focused on the amount of evidence that existed in this case, both digitally related to the dating websites that were alleged in this incident, as well as some of the text messages that were there, the phone call logs, and then the physical evidence that was in the crime scene itself, the knife, the gun, the blood, the location of the blood, and the location of the crime manipulation of the crime scene, the prosecutors allege here. So a lot for the jury to take in, 3 weeks of testimony that they're now considering. Clay.
Gary, thank you. And Misty, let's bring you in because Banfield is charged with aggravated murder. Notably, prosecutors and his defense team declined to offer jurors an option of less severe homicide charges. Can you maybe walk us through the thought process here on both sides? What's the incentive for doing that rather than, say, having the jury decide?
Yeah, this is really notable because what's called waterfall charges are sometimes added onto that verdict sheet, which means that if the jury didn't feel that prosecutors proved premeditation, remember this is aggravated, it's the reason that it's aggravated is there's 2 murders, but it's also willful, deliberate, and premeditated. But if the jury had concluded that prosecutors did not get so far as to prove that premeditation element, they would have had other options for lesser degrees of murder where the intent is different. But prosecutors said no. And the defense could have requested that in addition to prosecutors, but they did not. So this case is really all or nothing. So the logic for prosecutors, you got to believe the whole story in order for them to get convicted. But for the defense perspective, not giving those jurors an alternative to giving something lesser than this.
And Misty, last we spoke, you kind of expected a shorter deliberation period. Instead, we're on day 2. Why might that be?
You know, I really did expect a shorter deliberation period, and we haven't even heard a peep from the jury. We haven't heard any jury questions, but something that could be impacting is that all of those exhibits and all of that evidence, including those complicated medical reports, the expert reports, that's all in the room with the jury. And keep in mind what we heard at closings. Really, prosecutors specifically matching up that more objective evidence to the testimony of Banfield. So it could just be that they're getting bogged down in that, going through each and every element of each charge, doing their job, not making a snap judgment. But right. I really expected to hear this a bit sooner.
And Gary, let's end with you. What kind of sentence is Banfield looking at if jurors do come back with a guilty verdict here?
Yeah, the most serious charges here are 2 counts of aggravated murder. That here in Virginia is life in prison without the possibility of parole. Clay.
All right, Gary Grumbach and Misty Marris, thank you both.